Welcome to the Business Affairs Podcast. We invite app industry professionals to cover various topics. We promise to do our best to keep it both insightful but brief. In this episode, we have Steve Toy, Chief Executive Officer at Memrise. Steve, welcome back to the Business Affairs Podcast.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Thanks for coming back. It's been a year. I guess we had a conversation last July. It's a lot for AI development. A lot of things
Indeed,
have
it is.
changed since then. Boy, so many developments, so no frontiers. But I'm gonna set the stage for this episode. So I'm sure you're getting this feeling too. It's like finally we're living in the world that it was promised to us by sci-fi movies. AI has become artificial intelligence that is actually intelligent. To be fair, it's not conscious, but the difference between the two would be a topic for a conversation on another podcast.
Indeed.
Today on this show, I've invited Steve to help app brands to make sense of all this generative AI menagerie. We want to help you to make rational decisions about what AI tools to use, avoid mistakes that other folks do, understand what skill sets your team needs, and more. But first, Steve, for the benefit of folks who didn't listen to the previous episode you were on, could you please tell us about yourself and your background in tech?
Sure. Well, now I'll save everybody the long version and stick to the things that are relevant for this. And for that, I'll just kind of drift back to 2017, where after selling the company that I was running at the time, TaxChat, to EY, I was working with the PhDs at EY to completely remove hundreds and hundreds of monthly man hours of tax classification work with a simple computer run. And the computer could do it quicker for sure and much more accurately. And that was sort of the moment when it really detonated in my brain how profound and powerful these tools are. And since then, I have spent some time managing, near 100 apps in a large portfolio of apps for a company called Apollon within the IAC empire, where we brought ARR across this portfolio from below 50 to over 120 million. And I joined Memrise as CEO in July of 2021, where we have navigated ourselves to cash flow positivity while investing heavily in AI without raising any funds, as most of our competitors did. And that has left us where we are today, which is sitting on one of the most impressive language learning platforms out there.
Cool. Now, tell me more about Memrise.
Sure. Well, so Memrise itself is a language learning platform. I use the term platform as opposed to app, which is where we came from because of the depth and breadth of what we've developed. But what we have is a platform that has been used over the years by almost 80 million people. And what makes us unique is that we are trying to help people accomplish their goal of conversing with other humans, which they do for a myriad of reasons. It's always interesting when we talk to folks and say, why are you using Memrise? They say, well, to learn a language. But then we say, why do you want to learn a language? And that's where the differences appear. Some people want to learn for travel. Some people have married into a family that they want to communicate with better. Some people are in the service industry and tourist industry where there's people with many different languages that they encounter, and they make more money if they speak other languages. So there's many different whys, and Memrise has become the platform that can address those whys specifically by not teaching a curriculum, but by teaching the words that matter to your goal and taking them through a myriad of different experiences so that you can not only remember the words, but you can pick them out when they're said in the wild by native speakers who have accents and are truncating things. And then you can actually get the words and pronounce them well enough when you need to order a beer or a sandwich while you're traveling through Barcelona.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so important when you can actually have a conversation with somebody, keeping all the small details, cracking jokes. This is how you break the barriers, break the ice between you two, and You can have either have fun or make business. So, okay, zooming into today's topic, there is an intense competition between LLMs from OpenAI, Alphabet, Anthropic, Meta, and the growing number of models being developed in China. Crazy money being invested. The challenge who's going to reach artificial general intelligence is on. From your perspective, how should companies approach evaluating AI tools without getting lost in constant comparisons between models?
It's a good question, and it's easy to get lost in those comparisons. So I'm coming to you from the perspective of somebody that has produced many apps and solutions in the B2C world, or for end users, even if it's in the business world. Right. So that is my frame of reference. That is where I live, and what I would say from that frame of reference is you don't really care about the performance metrics and even the costs of all of the different models out there. What you care about is whether it can do the job you need it to do well and effectively. There are many models out there, even high reasoning, high priced models out there that don't do a particular good job on certain tasks. So, getting the specifications isn't as important as understanding, does the model do the thing that you need it to do? Does it bring value to your end user? Does it get the job done? So that is my, one and number one, two, and three suggestion, which is just figure out whether the model does the thing you want it to do. If you have five different models that are doing just as good a job as each other, well, then choose the fastest or cheapest one as you see fit. But make sure the job gets done first. That's the most important thing when thinking about these models. Because quite frankly, no matter what the cost is, next week it's going to be lower.
Of course, like I said, so many money being invested. The acceleration rate is just mind boggling. Now, so many businesses are desperately trying not to be left behind and jump on AI bandwagon. What is the most common mistake you see they make when trying to integrate AI into their workflows?
So this is going to echo my last answer a little bit in that the most common mistake is not understanding the job to be done. Right. When we start to press and say we have to get AI into everything that we do, we have to get it into our systems, we have to use it more. The natural thing that happens is people take that instruction and start to get target fixated on, okay, we have to use AI, we have to bring these tools into the system. But just bringing tools into the system isn't necessarily something that provides value for your end user or gets the job done. And so I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories of people who have said, well, we've implemented this RAG system, or we've, just used LangChain to orchestrate a whole bunch of different agents and so on. But to what end, right? They've got the ability to orchestrate these agents, but to what end? So that's the biggest mistake, is not understanding the job to be done, the goal that you're trying to accomplish. And you just go out, you figure out what these tools do, you get proficiency with them, and then you are the proverbial hammer wandering around looking for a nail. And that you got to avoid.
Gotcha. I think people's heads are just spinning because of the whole recent developments. They've been using ChatGPT, for instance, on so many occasions for their personal life. They kind of transform that experience to work. Their expectations on a personal level has been met so spectacularly, and they believe that they should jump as quick as possible on every possible feature of a new model and use it in business. And yeah, as you're saying, it doesn't work that well. They need to stay focused on their objectives. What are you trying to achieve first?
Yep.
Now, obviously, across multiple areas, AI changes what expertise team members need to perform a specific task. How do you think AI will reshape the skill sets team needs to develop in order to stay competitive?
Good question. Interestingly enough, the when we think about skill sets, and particularly when we think about ability to be expert in certain areas, I think that all of these AI tools are swimming in the opposite direction, right? I know from my personal experience, I've had some coding skills, but at this point in time, with the tools that we have available, I can actually generate code in multiple languages that I've had no exposure to in my entire life. And so I don't have to be expert in Kotlin to be able to review code that somebody wrote in Kotlin or even produce some myself. So that level of expertise is not as important as it once was. But what is important is not really new. It's just simple perseverance, right? And by it's not new, I mean we've heard everybody from Thomas Edison to Steve Jobs talk about the fact that perseverance is what leads to great breakthroughs. And it's been my personal experience that when I watch equally skilled engineers consider adopting AI as part of their work process, the ones that are successful are different from the ones that are unsuccessful by just one thing. It is when they chose to give up. The people that aren't successful give up sooner. The people that are successful go that one last round and they get where they're going. So I think that of all of the things, it's not even a skill set as much as it is a character trait. Perseverance is going to be very important. A fast follow on that is going to be creativity. You do have to constantly think creatively about what you want to create, what might be going wrong, how you can do things differently. But perseverance is the most important, and expertise is actually, funnily enough, less important in this world.
Got it. There's a reason why one of the rovers sent by NASA on Mars is called Perseverance.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Okay, now, in your view, what role will middle layer tools play in making AI adoption more accessible and impactful over the next few years?
And so the middle layer tools, and by that I assume that we mean the tools like Cursor and Replit for producing code and getting it deployed, or LangChain for orchestrating agents, or Weaviate for managing RAG pipelines, and so on. And I think those tools are incredibly powerful and incredibly useful in helping us do the things that we need to do more easily. And like I was mentioning before, it is important that we guard against not becoming overly proficient or wedded to any one tool type or tool manufacturer, and simply understand what the tools are good for and what they're not good for, so that you can then return to your customer the value that you're providing that customer, your domain expertise that you need to orchestrate and get to that customer, and figure out what needs to happen in order to make a great experience for that customer, so that you can then go and pick up the right tool. Right. Again, if you only know one kind of tool, then you're the proverbial hammer looking for a nail. But if you do understand the suite of tools, then you will be able to pick up the right tool for the right thing and put it back down again when you're done with it. So I think that is the way I like to think about it. That is, of course, from my perspective of delivering to an end user. If you are a tool manufacturer yourself, right, then you have a slightly different view of the world.
Moving on, thinking about what's coming as AI becomes more and more sophisticated, what advice would you give to leaders trying to help the teams adapt to rapid AI changes while avoiding unnecessary complexity?
That one is a really good question. I'm I'm going to confess that I had a number of false starts in this area. As as proud as I am of everything that we have accomplished at Memrise in terms of deploying AI and getting it into our workflow and getting it into our product, we did have a few false starts. And one of the things that I did early on when I felt that this was very, very important for us is I invested in courses and online courses, online classes for people to go to learn about what we're doing here. And that didn't really work. And, the irony of it all is I should have known that, because our philosophy about learning a language isn't that you go to school and crack open a book and memorize 2,000 words. It's that you go in country and survive. That's the best way to learn a language. And I just broke that rule and that philosophy when I started providing access to classes and course material and things of that sort. But what did work, what really did break the logjam, was when we went ahead and we got everybody an instance of Cursor and Replit, and sometimes help them connect the two with SSH, and just got them set up with tools that heretofore only programmers knew how to set up. And once they were set up, we said, go build something. We don't care what it is. Just go build something. And they would say, well, I don't know how to do it. How do I do that? I'm like, just ask the thing. Just go and ask it. And boom, all of a sudden, everybody was off to the races. And the really, really, really interesting part was the folks that adopted it fastest, the folks that built something new right away, were the folks that were non-technical. Our linguists, our localization experts, and folks like that who know a lot about language and teaching language, but know nothing about coding, were the ones that were producing fully featured things deployed out to the web with these tools, and making it clear that you didn't need to be technically proficient to provide value. So, just like the best way to learn a language is to go in country and survive, the best way to get your teams to adopt AI is just get them set up with the tool and tell them to go play. That's what would work for us.
This is terrific insight. I guess AI is helping us to do what was impossible a while ago, that there was always this bridge between people who know what needs to be done from a product perspective and the actual coders who are translating that knowledge, those ideas into the actual coding, into a software. And now you can just set at the table creative people and give them these AI tools, and that transition back and forth is quicker, smoother. They can create more. The level of creativity is different because it takes less
Mm-hmm.
time, and they feel like they have more freedom to express how do I want this product to be done, to perform, what it should deliver to people who's going to be using that app. And it's actually really profound as I see it.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think it speaks to one of the key things about these tools, which is it can help people and meet people where they are in terms of their development and skills and expertise, right? That's the beautiful thing and the promise of AI in the ed tech space. If a teacher's standing in front of a room of 30 kids trying to teach some concepts, all 30 of those kids are going to be at different places and getting stuck for different reasons. And when you have something that can get you unstuck for your particular reason, then you've got something powerful. And that is the same thing here with these AI tools that can help people get unstuck and fill in the gaps of their lack of experience in one area of the business or another.
Yeah, this is great insight. Reminds me, the best example was given one of my favorite particle physicists who was asked, what would you see the best use case for AI? I think it was like a couple of years ago. And even back then, he said, I'm really great in math as a teacher. And I know that the hardest problem is that when you're standing in front of lots of kids and you have to find that specific way of delivering the concept, the theory, and the idea to that person. And AI can do it better than I can do. It's impossible for me to do it as quick, to remember every specific way of shaping my explanation to that person. But AI can do it quicker in a private setup and can be more efficient than I can do. So yeah, it's a great insight. All right, we're gonna land our plane with this question: how can people get in touch with you and get more information about what you do?
Sure. Well, the best way to learn more about Memrise is at memrise.com. And of course, you can go down listen in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, where you can just start learning any one of over 240 language pairs, right away. For professional inquiries to me specifically, I'm on LinkedIn, and my vanity handle is Stephen C Toy. Stephen C Toy, Stephen with a V. So that's the easiest way to find me, and more than happy to talk to anybody in the business of apps community that has a question.
Terrific. Memrise is a great app, folks. If you want to go to other country, and this is it can be work or have a holiday, check out the app, and that will be really helpful for you to master those vocabulary, to be fluent in that country, and just enjoy conversation with local folks. Steve, thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing your insights. It was great. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. And that was Steve Toy, Chief Executive Officer at Memrise. To listen to more episodes, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube podcasts. Just search for Business of Apps. You will find us easily. Remember, we release episodes on Mondays, so subscribe, and you will be able to get new episodes on your smartphone, tablet, or computer if you do to this day listen podcasts on your computer as soon as we release them. And please don't forget to leave us a review or comment on iTunes. It is highly appreciated. And all episodes will also be available on businessofapps.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.